It's time for Lefties Losing It, and let's start with a fine example of the modern left. They're privileged, out of touch, hateful, angry lefties. Let's hear from Jimmy Kimmel's wife and show producer, Molly McInerney, whose moral compass is so warped that she needs deprogramming. That's her word, not mine. First, listen to this bit of chutzpah. She seems to think that anyone who votes for Donald Trump is a victim of misinformation.
So there's like a little bit of sympathy I have for people in my family that I feel are kind of being deliberately misinformed every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they're deliberately being misinformed every day.
Are they watching your husband's awful program? Because that's where the hysteria, hate and misinformation is happening. You think we forgot about him lying, straight out lying about Charlie Kirk's murder? Let's hear more from Molly and her delusions of grandeur.
My husband is out there fighting this man. And to me, them voting for Trump is them not voting for my husband and me and our family. And I unfortunately have kind of lost relationships with people in my family because of it. Mm-hmm. This is not just Republican versus Democrat for me anymore. Mm-hmm. It is, to me, it's family values. I feel like I'm kind of in constant conflict and I'm angry all the time, which isn't healthy at all. But I personalize everything now. When I see these terrible stories every day, I'm immediately mad at certain aunts, uncles, cousins who put him in power. And it's really hard. And I wish I could deprogram myself in some way, but I get really angry.
Yeah, I think a deprogramming is a fine idea. Imagine being that lucky and privileged and choosing to be miserable and bitter every day, and nasty too, to your own flesh and blood. Now, here is another foul leftie with pronouns in her bio, naturally, who thinks it's fun to mock Erika Kirk, a grieving widow who lost the love of her life, the father of her 2 young children, in the most tragic circumstances. But for the left, well, it's just a reason to mock her.
All right, Erica, this is your moment. This is your moment to shine. This is your moment to show America how amazing you are. Be the sad, grieving widow that you have always dreamed of. This is my moment. Fox News. My husband. Yes, we should have cameras in the courtroom. My husband was murdered.
These people really are soulless. Now, let's go to another celebrity who really should not speak about politics. Russell Crowe was on Joe Rogan's podcast and was asked about what's happening in Australia. This was his asinine answer, and a warning here: you may lapse into a coma in the next 36 seconds as you listen to this, as Crowe struggles to articulate his love for Australia's radical left Prime Minister.
What is wrong with the way Australia's run?
Well, we're a little bit lucky at the moment. We have a Prime Minister who's very much motivated by trying to help everybody, which should be the job of a politician, right?
Sure.
To improve the lives of the people that they represent. And he's kind of inherited, a conga line of stupidity that was going on, and he's trying to fix things.
Now, the lockdown continues with the media, including ABC's George Stephanopoulos, continuing to blame the Republicans for Schumer's shutdown. Here, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent takes the Democrat operative to task, and listen to how this interview descends into farce before Scott gets a delicious dig in. Well played, sir.
You were involved in a lot of these in the 90s, and you basically called the Republicans terrorists, and you said that it is not the responsible party that keeps the government closed. And so what we need is 5 brave, moderate Democratic senators to cross the aisle, because right now it is 52 to 3. 5 Democrats can cross the aisle and reopen the government. That's the best way to do it, George.
I can disagree with you about the history there, but we don't need a history lesson right now.
George,
Let's talk about what's happening right now.
If you want, I've got all your quotes here. I've got all your quotes here, George.
I'm sure you do.
But
let's talk about the situation right now.
Read your book. So you got one purchase on Amazon this week, and that's very much what you said.
You know, the bulk of the media has worked tirelessly to live up to the fake news tag, to live up to the public's worst fears about their lack of accuracy and impartiality, and it's often the ones who bleat loudest about misinformation and disinformation who are most guilty. The leftist activists masquerading as neutral journalists, like the ones working at taxpayer-funded BBC, who have been caught out heavily doctoring a speech by President Trump on January 6, 2020, to make it look like he incited a riot. Let's look at what the BBC played, followed by what he actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Ooh, I like the sinister music they played in that doctored version, just to drive the point home, obviously. So how did that happen? Let's hear from the Telegraph's Gordon Rayner, who explains just how deliberate and dishonest the BBC were in manufacturing this bit of fake news, this rewriting of history.
The BBC spliced together two clips that took place 54 minutes apart.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we fight. We fight like hell.
They played that episode a week before the US election, obviously hoping for maximum impact, but they were caught, and for once there were consequences. The BBC's Director General Tim Davie and Head of News Deborah Turness have now been forced to step down. Joining me is Newsweek Senior Editor-at-Large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel Josh Hammer. Josh, it is often the ones who scream loudest about misinformation who are guilty of what we just saw.
Well, that's quite possibly, Rita, the single most brazenly dishonest thing that I've ever seen the media do. And I want to just pause and kind of mull it over a second, because that's a very big statement that I just made. But that is outrageous. I mean, the Kamala Harris 60 Minutes CBS News interview definitely comes to mind. I mean, let's not forget just how badly CBS News tried to make the Kamala word salad come across as something remotely palatable in the final months of the 2024 election. That was absolutely horrific in its own rights. But this is astonishing. I mean, thank goodness there's been some accountability. I mean, someone has resigned there. But why are the British people paying for this? Why are the British people subjected out of their hard-earned taxpayer money? And, you know, the economy in the UK has not exactly been rocking and roaring for a number of decades now. So it's not exactly like people have money to splurge around, but they're subsidizing this crap. They're subsidizing this. I mean, here in the United States, we're subsidizing PBS and NPR. Well, I mean, Trump's taken some steps actually to finally extricate ourselves from that toxic bear hug of relationship with our taxpayer-funded media overlords. But at the barest to bare minimums, it's just one of many reasons why the public should not be engaged in the direct subsidization of media. This is utterly egregious stuff. I would like to see someone no less than Keir Starmer himself just condemn this and say this is not helpful. After all, last I checked, the US and the UK still had something going back to the Reagan-Thatcher days, probably even longer than that, to Churchill FDR, called the special relationship. If you guys actually care about the special relationship, you probably should stop doing things like this. That's just some helpful advice, shall we say.